Welcome back to another episode of Allen Police Behind the Badge. We're your hosts, Officer Sam Ripamani and Alexis Birmingham.
And today, our guest is Officer Derek Malena. Thank you for joining us.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks for coming, Derek. So, you're in the traffic unit, right?
Yes.
Listed as traffic unit. I'm sure you've seen a lot of... How long have you been in that unit?
I think I'm the longest serving traffic unit member ever, about 15 years.
Oh, wow. So, I'm sure you've seen a lot of stuff over the years.
Sure.
Anything that comes to mind that you'd like to tell us?
Probably the most significant one would be the commercial motor vehicle crash that we had southbound at Bethany. It was a very unfortunate thing where the driver of the commercial motor vehicle had a vehicle pull out in front of him, and he tried to make an evasive action, lost control of his tractor trailer. He swerved over, hit the Jersey barrier on the right, and the truck went up over the barrier, come down, and hit on the side of the cab right behind the driver's door. When it hit behind the driver's door, it damaged the door locking mechanism, which then caused the door to open, and the driver fell out and was unfortunately ran over by his own commercial motor vehicle and succumbed to his injuries. And so all of that to say, the biggest thing about traffic is we do traffic safety. Had this driver been wearing his seatbelt, he would probably be with us today. So that would probably be that's probably my most memorable, most horrible, and it kind of goes back to the reason why we do what we do in the traffic unit, safety. Wear your seatbelt, don't speed.
We wrote a press release over that tragedy. It's just a terrible, terrible event that happened. We've had a few of them this year. I mean, can we contribute that to, is it speed mostly, or?
I think some of it can be contributed to speed. A lot of it can be contributed to distracted driving. Everyone nowadays has a cell phone. Everyone has that cell phone in their hand all the time. If we could just emphasize to motorists on the road to put your telephone down when you're driving, drive the speed limit, wear your seatbelt. There's a good probability that you're going to prevent the crash, or if you do have one and you're doing everything you're supposed to, you're going to be able to survive it.
Yeah. We'll be driving at times and my wife will be like, that car in front of us, I think they're drunk. And then you go to get around them and nope, they're playing on that phone.
Which may be worse.
Yeah.
Yep. So what do you do for your unit? Like, I know you're a commercial motor vehicle. What does that entail?
So my title is Commercial Motor Vehicle Enforcement. Mm-hmm. And, my main goal here at the police department is to enforce the Motor Carrier Bureau safety regulations. Mm-hmm. So we work directly underneath the Texas Department of Public Safety, kind of fall underneath their umbrella. So I think everybody is probably familiar with the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. They come out with a set of rules that all the commercial motor vehicles have to abide by. And the state of Texas has adopted a good majority of those federal statutes because they're aimed directly at safety. And once Texas adopted them, they created a unit, license awaits originally what it was for Texas DPS, to enforce these laws. Then they brought in municipal inspectors like us. Large cities can get certified under Texas DPS to enforce these statutes. So, on a daily basis, I weigh trucks, make sure that they're not overweight. I check their registration. I make sure that they've purchased their permits and that they've paid the proper amount of money to be driving over the roadways, because the heavier the truck is, the more damage caused to the roadway. The permit fees that they pay, they go directly into the highway fund so they can repair and maintain our roadways. Yeah. I check their commercial motor vehicle driver's license status, make sure that they're able to actually operate the vehicle that they're driving, check their hours of service, make sure that they're not driving longer than they're supposed to have been, make sure they're not fatigued, make sure they're not ill. And then we get into more of the safety aspect of it for load securement, check their brakes, check their tires, just really, really everything that you can think of that's on that vehicle, and any paperwork that driver has to have, any licensing credentials. That's something that we're going to look out to make sure that, these operators and these motor carriers are safe to drive down the road.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about weighing a vehicle, every vehicle has its own weight rating, I'm assuming, or is that how that works?
Yeah, every vehicle does have their own weight rating, but that's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for their actual axle weight.
Right.
So the state has they have a set amount of weight that you can carry on each axle or each tandem axle. Like, and everybody thinks the gross weight for a big truck's 80,000 pounds, right? Everybody's heard that, right? Single axles, 20,000 pounds. Tandem axles are 34,000 pounds. So really what we're doing is we're checking to make sure that they're complying with those weight standards. And if they're not, that they've purchased an overweight permit to be on the roadway.
Gotcha. So I'm sure there's companies that try to push that
on a daily basis.
Try to do it fewer trips, less fuel.
Yep.
Less hours they have to pay a driver.
Yep. We run into it every single day. Yeah. We run into unsafe trucks every single day. I would say we probably put more than 50% of trucks or drivers out of service for every inspection that we do.
And you enforce the tollway and 75.
Sure. So, we can do commercial motor vehicle enforcement anywhere in the city. Okay. But basically we can do it anywhere in the state. We work for the city of Allen. The city of Allen pays our salaries, but we work under Texas DPS for enforcement. Oh, wow. There's quite a few agencies in the DFW Metroplex that have these commercial motor vehicle enforcement programs. So what we do is we do these details where we'll go to another city and all the inspectors will show up, and then that specific city will be responsible for pulling the vehicles over, bringing them into a parking lot, and then an inspector from a different city will then inspect the truck, make sure that it's safe. It's kind of a collaboration where we can all work together and enforce these statutes in our own cities as well as inside the county that our city's in, and other cities and other counties throughout the state.
Yeah, I feel like we were very proactive in Allen when we implemented your position.
Yeah.
Because you're the first one to do it in Allen, right?
Sure. Yep. I helped start our program here.
And how long have you been doing it now?
Let's see. I've been doing commercial motor vehicle enforcement probably about 12 years.
Wow.
That's awesome.
And do you help with also like any crashes or like help other agencies as well with that?
So I'm on our on-call crash team here for fatalities. Mm-hmm. We all take on a week of call. Everyone that's in the unit takes on a week of call at a time. And then I do help other cities with crashes, with fatalities, specifically commercial motor vehicle fatalities, whenever the need arises.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So prior to being in traffic, you were in patrol?
I was.
And then prior to coming to Allen, what did you do?
So I was in the Army. I was a field artillery soldier. Got deployed to Iraq in 2003. I got out of the Army and I went to work for Peterbilt over in Denton. My dad was a research and development engineer there. And so whenever I went to work for them, I started out like most everybody else does, kind of started out at the bottom, started out building truck cabs. Then I moved over to what's called the test department, which is, if you can imagine someone that does very similar what I do now, making sure that all the components of the truck are safe, making sure that the truck was built to spec, making sure that it's roadworthy before it leaves the plant. That was the job that I was doing whenever I got laid off when the diesel market turned down. Yeah. So
I feel like that was around the same time, I was in the home building market. And
yeah.
We've talked about this crashed. Before. Yeah. We started very close together.
Yeah. Been here a long time.
Yeah. So one of my first interactions with Derek, he probably doesn't even remember this, but for some reason I remember it like it's yesterday. I think I'd been here, a little over 2 years, going on 3. Maybe I'd already got moved to community relations. Mm-hmm. And I knew who he was, but we hadn't really ever worked on the same shift or anything. And I passed this guy coming into the station. And he goes, "Hey, man, why are you still carrying that gun? I figured you'd be putting stickers in that holster." That's my first interaction with this guy. And I'm like, who in the world is this guy? And, but from then on, I was like, I like this guy. He's got some sass to him. So we've picked at each other ever since for the last 18 years.
Yeah. If I'm not picking on you, then, I probably don't like you. No, I'm just kidding. This is a great place to work. Everybody here gets along with everybody. And it's, if you don't have that banter, if you don't have that banter between your people that you work with, it's not a fun place to work. Mm-hmm. You got any stickers?
Well, I got them right here. And you know what? I would give this gun up if I knew I never would need it and I could take that weight off my hips. Yeah. That'd be amazing.
Absolutely.
Put some stickers
you need to
in
get
there.
Suspenders.
So, you have a wife, kids?
I do. Yeah. I I have a beautiful wife who I would consider my best friend that I've been married to for almost 23 years. I have 2 wonderful boys. One of them is 22 years old. He went to the dark side. He's a fireman for the Garland Fire Department.
No.
Is it? Wait a minute. Is it the one that did tobacco stings with us?
It is. That's him. Yeah, 16.
Seemed
he was
like
doing
a couple
tobacco
years
stings.
ago.
Yep. Yeah, and then I have my youngest son is 16 years old. He's still in high school.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you got one. Not an empty nester yet.
Nope, not yet. Getting close. As soon as he got his driver's license, it almost felt like it.
He's never home anymore.
Yeah, no,
so you got
exactly.
a girlfriend?
Yep. No, don't have a girlfriend. No, he's
burning up the streets.
Burning up the streets, participating in school events and
that's good.
Band and ag, and he's just kind of getting involved in all of it.
That's awesome.
Keeps y'all busy.
Oh yeah,
it's going to come to a halt before you know it.
Yeah.
I don't know. You said your oldest is engaged now.
He is. Yeah, actually, he is engaged. Getting married in May.
You might be. You may not be far from being a grandfather, granddad. You got
I'm sure
a
my
name
wife
picked
would love
out
that.
yet?
Yeah, absolutely. I think she's ready.
Well, it's nice when you have a baby in the house and you can give it back. You don't have to keep it.
Yeah, that's what I hear.
Is there anything new in your unit that you can share?
So one of our motor officers, he just got a position, assistant Texas DPS, as a tactical flight officer. So, before long, I think we're going to have a motorcycle position open up. So that'll be good.
Yeah, that's not for me.
He's going. Isn't he going to be riding around in a helicopter?
He is. Yeah.
Aren't we all jealous?
Yes.
Yeah,
Interesting job. Yeah, it'd be a good job.
But that motor position, that takes a special person too.
It absolutely does.
I watch them ride those motorcycles around with all this traffic, and they're.
Well, when it's hot, it's hot, and when it's cold, it's cold.
You get about 3 or 4 weeks of perfect Texas weather.
That's what we're going through right now.
Yeah,
we have about 2 seasons in this state.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. So I'm sure they're loving the weather now. But I thought about, I used to ride motorcycles outside of work, but those guys doing it for a full-time job, it
takes a special person.
A lot of respect for them for what
absolutely.
they do.
Are you any specialized units or on any boards?
So I do currently sit on the board of directors for the Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance. I represent if you could think of what would be the local agencies throughout the United States and Canada as a region. So I'm the vice president over a region. Locals probably represents about 500 agencies throughout United States, Canada. Technically it would be Mexico, but they only have state police, so they're not really included in the locals. It's a great deal. It's really good for Allen to have someone that has the ability to have such a say in, international policy, or the ability to come up with position statements collaboratively with other agencies throughout the United States and Canada and Mexico, and present these to the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration and say, hey, this is what we want to see. This is what we think is unsafe. This is what we would like you to change. This is what we would like you to implement. So being able to have a voice at the voting table for such a large agency is it's great.
And it helps having a chief that's so proactive and encourages you to be part of these different.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, absolutely. I had never met Chief Dye before he came to work here. As soon as he did, and I was able to have some conversations with him about our commercial motor vehicle safety program and how we build this program off of being safety based, right? It's never been about fines. Yes, do people get tickets whenever they get an inspection if they've done something wrong? Absolutely, they do. But with our agency specifically, it's not about the money. And with Chief Dye, it's about safety. Absolutely. And I'll give him a shameless plug. He was on a Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance video for new agencies wanting to join CVSA, new local agencies. Yeah. And he's I think very passionate about the safety portion of it too. And that's what we want, right? We want this to remain about safety. And when we do these inspections, we're out here to save people's lives. Mm-hmm. The entire goal of what we do, our mission statement for CVSA, Texas DPS Commercial Motor Vehicle, their mission statement is all prevent commercial motor vehicle crashes, fatalities throughout the state throughout the United States, throughout Canada. It's about saving people's lives.
Yep. Roadway safety is definitely a top priority for, one of our top priorities for Chief Dye. And,
and they pushed, Drive to Thrive for a good year. I mean, it's still going on, but that was the main purpose, was safety.
When we send our kids and our wives and our families out to travel or go anywhere, we want our roads to be safe. So.
Absolutely. You bring up a good point. I continue to do what I do because my family drives on the road, right? And, there's a ton of officers and a ton of people that have no idea what that commercial motor vehicle is capable of. It's an 80,000 pound missile. And if it's hauling hazardous material, it could be like several missiles, so having the ability to make a contact with one of these trucks, thankfully in our state, we don't have to have probable cause to make contact with a commercial motor vehicle. Just being the vehicle gives us the ability to stop and contact it. And, conducting these inspections and finding, a truck that breaks or inoperative and saying, okay, well, you're out of service now, and forbidding them to move until the truck is fixed. I feel like that's a pretty big impact. You never know if 10 miles down the road, that guy gets involved in a traffic backup, has to do a hard stop, can't stop, and now he's killed someone.
So outside of work, what do you do? Is it like, you can't work all the time? What do you do outside of this? I'm sure you work.
I think my wife thinks I work all the time. Yeah. Maybe not here.
Half the department does go to Derek to get their vehicles worked on.
Yeah,
the guy he can turn wrenches and fix anything on a vehicle. So
that is what I like to do for fun. I have a workshop at my house. I work on a lot of people's cars, trailers, four-wheelers, campers. I mean, you name it, I'll probably work on it. Yeah. I've been fortunate to be able to be exposed to a lot of stuff from the time I was a toddler with my grandpa and my dad, being able to, being shown how to work on stuff, having the ability to ride motorcycles and four-wheelers and race go-karts and race junior dragsters, and, just being able to, have parents that said, hey, here, go get hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, if you're racing something, you're tearing stuff up. Yeah. So you got to learn to fix it.
not having someone that was always having their thumb on me where I had to be stuck in the house. And I try to instill that in my boys. I told you my oldest one is a fireman. Super proud of him. He's running a couple of side businesses on his own now. He owns a construction company. Him and another guy, they own it's like an aquatic management company, another fireman. My youngest, super proud of him. He's trying to follow in my footsteps. He loves working on stuff. We just finished up a 2-year project, building an 83 4-wheel drive dually pickup.
Oh, y'all finished it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's driving it?
Well, he drives it. I try to, but he doesn't. He doesn't really like it. I'll say, "Why don't you take my truck today?" And he gives me that, the rock
nice
eyebrow.
Pickup. He wants to drive the older one.
Yeah, I don't blame him. I think it's probably nicer than my nice pickup.
Yeah. Wow, I had to see this.
My family loves to camp. We love to ride 4-wheelers and side by sides. My wife loves that. She just recently got her an air conditioned side by side, so that's nice.
Oh, those are expensive.
Man. Yeah.
Look at her go.
Right there.
Yeah, it was
that's so y'all take nice. Like glamping. Y'all don't do the
that is exactly what we do. We glamp. We camper with an air conditioner.
Y'all not popping a tent.
No tents.
Roughing it.
No. We do own a tent, but it's in a box.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's for emergency use.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
If that comes out, something bad's going on.
Yeah, if that comes out, I'm not sure I'm going.
Yeah. Or it'll be just you.
Yeah, right.
That's funny. And you play drums, right?
I do play the drums. I've been playing the drums since I was young, 6 or 7, and then
when I found out you played the drums years ago, somebody's like, so we have a police department band for a while named Reasonable Suspicion.
Yeah, we did.
And we're trying to get them back together.
I love
but
the name.
When I was like, well, who plays what instrument? And Corporal Danko is the lead guitarist, which I knew he can play. He can play the heck out of a guitar. And they're like, Derek is the drummer. And I was like, what? Derek? Well, country boy Derek? He's like, oh yeah, he's a good drummer. And then I've seen him play, and he can play the drums. He is good.
Yeah, it's It's been a long time. I haven't played so much lately, but my youngest pick it up. He's a drummer.
Is he really?
He is. Plays the drums, plays guitar.
Nice.
Yeah.
I play the guitar, and I started trying to learn the drums because my youngest was learning.
Yeah.
And it's, when your feet are doing one thing and your hands are doing something different, yeah, it didn't work for me. I couldn't get that down.
I'll tell you, my most interesting thing I think I ever did with playing the drums was, of course, I played in school, and up until you get in high school, you're not in marching band or anything. Mm-hmm. So when I was a freshman in high school, the North Central Texas College over in Gainesville posted in the newspaper for people that everybody I guess now thinks we don't have newspapers, but we still had newspapers back then. They posted an ad for tryouts for a jazz band. I'd never played jazz in my entire life.
Oh my!
Show up, set up my drum set. I played a Leonard Skinner song for my interview. Basically, got this position in this jazz band and learned how to play jazz. So I was a freshman in high school playing in this college jazz band as well as being a band in school.
It was hilarious.
It was cool. It was a good time. It was a great experience. And now with my youngest one playing the drums, I'm constantly asking him, "You trying out for this? Are you doing this? Are you going to play the jazz band?" And I get to, "Come on, Dad."
Leave me alone.
Yeah.
That's funny. So shifting gears, I know one of the things you help a lot with in our department is a couple big events we have each year. Black Friday being one of them that's, coming up. And then USA Celebration, I would say, is a really big one that we have every year.
Yeah.
And when I say help, you kind of help with all the traffic patterns.
Sure.
And I'm sure that's a nightmare.
It absolutely can be.
What would you tell our citizens
for USA Celebration?
For USA Celebration, if you have any recommendations to them.
If you plan on attending USA Celebration, park at the high school and take the shuttle.
There's no cost?
No, there is no cost. No, they can ride it for free. They're on Allen ISD school buses. That is absolutely the best way to get in and get out.
Yeah.
There's no parking around the area.
Yep.
A lot of the neighborhoods are closed, and it just creates a huge traffic hazard for all the vehicles, not to mention all the pedestrians that are trying to leave at the end. So if you plan on coming, I promise you the fastest way in and the fastest way out is to ride that shuttle, because if you drive your car over there and you try to leave when it's over, you're going to be stuck in traffic for a long amount of time.
What about like handicap parking?
So if you're handicap or a VIP, we use the east parking lot off of Angel at the park itself. So, we do close down northbound Angel Parkway during the event. So if you are handicap or you are VIP, enter off of Exchange Parkway and then go south on Angel. There'll be some people there that they'll direct you where you got to go.
If by some chance they want to take the shuttle, is it a lot of walking to do that, or is it?
No, very minimal walking. Okay. They can park at the high school. It's not a very long distance to get over to where the buses are at, and then the buses come into the east parking lot of USA Celebration, and they'll let you off. You walk right into the event. When it's over, you come back. You wait in a short line, I would say, but we're running lots of buses trying to get people in and out as quick as we can.
There's
and it's pretty efficient because Parks has helped us out with making sure the buses are pretty much full before they leave.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to run, we got 10 people on this bus. Let's take it to the high school. Yeah. So if you do have to wait, it'll be a small amount of time, but you don't have to
register to ride the bus or anything. Just show up at the high school and hop on the shuttle.
I believe that's correct. I don't think you have to register to ride the shuttle.
That's awesome. You heard it, Alan. Ride the shuttle.
Ride the shuttle. Absolutely.
So if any businesses have any questions for you, or they want to have any classes, courses, do you offer any of that?
So not so much classes or courses, but we do offer what's called a safety briefing. So if you're a motor carrier or you're a trucking company and you want to have a kind of a question and answer session, or you just have questions, or you just want to make sure that your company's in compliance, we will absolutely assist you with that. So you could go to the allenpolice.org and contact the traffic unit, and they'll get in touch with me, and then I'll try to get with whatever company it is or whatever representative, and we'll schedule a safety briefing, and we'll make sure that you're in the right path.
That's nice.
That's awesome. I didn't know you offered that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we appreciate you coming on today.
Well, anytime. Thanks for having me.
We've been trying to get you on for a while, and we finally got it to work. So.
Yeah. Yep. It's
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah. If you want to learn more about our traffic unit or upcoming events, go check us out on our website, allenpolice.org.
And make sure to like and subscribe. And if you have any comments, leave them down below.
We'll see you next time.
Bye.